welcome back to another episode of Developing the Leader Within. I'm your host, Enrique Acosta Gonzalez, and today I have a special guest all the way from the islands. And it's so good to have you, Debbie Jollie. You are where I'm from, right down in the Caribbean. So it's so glad to have you on the show, and we're going to be discussing a very important topic. It's something that probably everybody's talking about nowadays, especially being locked up, I would say, in their homes or in their little communities, which is branding, right? Personal branding, but specifically to leadership. And I'm so happy to have you with us today. And before we get into all the great information you're going to share with us, share a little bit about yourself so that we can get to know you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Enrique. Well, as Enrique said, Debbie Jollie. I use the tagline, the Stammering Communicator. That has a story behind it, a lifelong story of me being a child and stammering terribly. But because I like marketing and the arts, I had to be able to command the voice. So I use that as part of my tagline. I help businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals really help them to grow their business through sales, marketing, and of course, branding.
That's great. And I'm so, like I said, I'm happy to have you because I've seen your content on LinkedIn. I follow you on Instagram. I see all the things that you're doing. And I'll tell you, the bloopers thing is a hit. You have me cracking up all the time. But you know, the vulnerability and that is where it really is at. Folks want to know people, right? And we're talking about leadership and branding and getting people to know you. And so I'm so excited to cover this with you because a lot of times leadership forget that their branding is more than just them and their daily walk, their daily actions. And so in terms of leadership and branding, what would you say leaders should start doing when it comes to branding?
Okay, that's a great question. I think that we're in the 21st century, and leaders, what they do in their daily walk, they need to also build that digital space. And so, and also too, that is almost, I think, for a lot of persons who are out of work now, that is a way to almost, not really to give you job security, but building your brand currency online does help your visibility. It helps to build you legitimately, and it helps person to see you. And you really never know where your career could go if you begin to build it online. So I think there are a number of great persons, and I think there are a number of great persons worldwide that we actually don't get to see simply because they haven't decided to build their brand online. And so I think it's very important to do so. There's a wealth of knowledge to learn from persons in different types of industry, whether it's B2B or B2C. We have a lot of challenges in terms of leadership, and those voices need to be heard. So I think getting online is one of the best ways, whether you are an entrepreneur, CEO, CFO, CMO. Building your brand online really will help to take your career to another level.
Yeah, I totally agree because we're living in a digital age where most things reside online. And now there used to be a time where you could suffice to just be you and let your voice speak for who you were, let your actions speak for who you are. But there are some times that people just don't know you. And there's a ramification to that because they may know you personally and your circle might be good, but if you are intending to do business in this world, you need to be part of the world knowledge, right? You have to be in people's eyes and minds in order for them to think of you first. So
absolutely,
I totally agree that you have to place yourself and build your brand online. That's a great,
Online.
great point. Um, so let's say we go and we decide, we pull the plug, we say, hey, we're gonna get out there and be online, and we're gonna let the world know who we are.
Yeah.
I find sometimes that that you get a double personality, if you could say that. Uh, it's either you are the same online
Yeah.
and off, or you're
Yeah.
somebody different. What can you tell us about that?
I totally agree. I mean, I've had that interact. You see, now is a time where persons, we're home, right? We're not, I mean, I haven't done a face-to-face interaction with a client in months, right? So we are home now, and the only option we have is really putting ourselves on the line. But the truth is, not everybody is authentic and real, and a lot of persons are following what they see online and what they feel they should be doing, you know. And I think that is a slippery slope, and I think at some point in time you'll be caught, and it could actually have a really damaging effect on your brand. So I think it's important to really, in the beginning, before you even get online, to really understand who you are and what it is you want to convey. What you are doing online should be representative of what you're doing offline, and people will begin to know. You don't answer calls, you don't answer direct messages, you don't you so you may be presenting one thing, but then persons don't have access to you the way that you're presenting it. Then you come across as a little, a little shady. And so I think it's important before you do it, really get clear on what is your objective, because as a leader, what you do offline and what you do online should mirror each other. It really shouldn't be different.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I've seen both sides of that coin,
Yeah.
where a person has really gotten caught between their comments online and their
Yeah.
comments in person, and
Yep.
it can be detrimental.
Yep.
You will, in one instance, do away with all the credibility. Now, you mentioned a word that's, it's usually a big buzzword nowadays, which is authenticity. Um,
Yes.
how do you define a way to making sure that word is not just something that we say, but it's something that we live?
You live exactly. I think you really do have to. You have to. It starts by being yourself. And I mentioned this on another podcast. When I started to put out information, when I started to do videos, which was just about 4 years ago, um, I really was, I had an imposter syndrome, and I was afraid because I stammered and I said, oh my gosh, I don't want to go online. And then I stutter and persons here, and I was worried about that. And the truth is, I wasn't comfortable with it, or at least as far as I thought I wasn't comfortable with it. You really do have to be comfortable with who you are in order to portray, and in order to really show your audience who you are. And I think that it starts by understanding yourself. You really do have to again, before you get online, you really do need to understand who you are, what it is you want to portray. And for me, it was really, it, 4 years ago was a little bit of a switch, because I was doing video, and I was apprehensive, and that was because I wasn't secure in really being, you know, being open to the negative comments, or but I had to get comfortable with who I am. And that is really authenticity, being comfortable with who you are, being comfortable with your voice, being comfortable with your message, irrespective of if you get positive feedback or not.
Yeah, that's so important and so key to making sure that your online presence is something that reflects you on the outside, right? So
Yeah.
because we're going to see this picture, we're going to see this video, and there are keywords and there's the expressions and then and everything. And so if someone sees something different, then they will make a instant judgment
And
on
they'll
whether
call you
you,
out on it.
yeah,
Yep.
whether you're authentic or not, right? It's going to
Yeah.
come out. And
Yeah.
that's the worst position to be in. um,
Yes.
we started our conversations with companies and leaders and what they had to do to get uh, their personal branding out and in the eyes of people. And there are many pitfalls to that. Because number one, you say if they're not authentic, they're gonna get
Yes.
called out.
Yep.
If it doesn't match what they're doing on the outside, it's going to be called out.
Yep.
But then there's the individuals within the company, right? Because what most companies fail to understand is that when they hire a potential a benefit and I would say blessing to a company, or they
Right.
may be hiring a liability.
Yes.
because because
Yes.
if they have a personal branding and it goes against your company personal
Yes.
branding, it could clash. And so
Yes.
what would you say that senior leadership's role is in personal branding when it comes to, their companies?
This is so interesting, and I think it's evolving now, just based upon the things that as you know, we just had elections here, and we had a lot of racial issues here, and there was a boycott of a company, and so I think that companies need to, one, from an HR perspective, now develop policies and procedures in terms of what employees are supposed to say online, what they're not supposed to say. And then as a senior team, there should be a strategy around personal branding, because marketing has evolved, and people invest in people. So they don't just invest in big brands, they invest in people. We buy from people. We trust them first and then we purchase. So therefore, individuals are investing in the people behind the organization. So as a sales manager, people know, like, and trust him. And that's why, him or her, and that's why they invest in the organization. They really invest in the people. So I think it is actually a really um, getting your a strategy around your senior leadership team in terms of how they present themselves online and the messages that they put online that can actually benefit the organization. But there must be a strategy behind it, and there must be policies and procedures as well from an HR perspective. But I think there's infinite wealth and possibility. And I'm working with companies now where I'm getting the CEO to deliver the message. It's not just their company or their brand. And you're seeing the level of engagement. So it has a critical role in helping the organization become more visible, in people trusting the organization and growing it. But I think it needs to be looked at from a policy perspective. How are we going to utilize our key resources in helping our organization grow? So it has to be a discussion within the company.
I fully agree with that. As a policy maker, one that was integral or really rooted into creating policies for companies, I believe that's really where it it lies. It lies within the responsibility of the company to set those guidelines for folks so that they don't, overstep or understep what they should
Yes,
do in terms of their branding and having their own personal branding clash against their company, which could be a problem. It could cause a problem, and so I fully agree
absolutely.
with that. That so we spoke about, just a real recap. We build your brand online, make sure it matches your
Yes,
life, right? Don't
yes,
say one thing on camera and go do another because it's gonna cause problems. authenticity is critical to your personal branding. And senior leadership, for those listening, if you're in senior leadership positions, if you're not intimately involved with how your brand is being affected in any way, shape, or form, you could be causing a detriment to your company. And yeah, maybe you personally won't get hurt, but if the company goes away because of boycott,
Yes,
then what?
exactly,
Then what?
exactly.
So,
And
so thank you.
I think, yeah, I think as you just said there, once people know you, it to me it's easier for crisis management. If they don't know you, then they say, we don't want to work with this firm again. So it has its inherent benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for those points and all you shared concerning those topics. So we've talked about Brandon, we talked about leadership, but we haven't talked about you. So what's on the horizon for Debbie Jollie?
Wow, I'm trying to live out and survive out 2020. That's one of the main things. I have, thankfully, I can say that at the end of 2019, I had sort of restructured some of the things that I was doing, and I was looking at reformatting my whole product and service line so it was more recurrent. So getting into 2020 with COVID, it was just an easy switch, and so I've been doing very well. Look out for more stuff from me, more videos and more bloopers. And I'm working. I've stretched my arm a lot. I've been working with a lot of firms within the Caribbean, but I actually have a client in New Jersey now, and so I'm just trying to do a little bit more, help organizations again in those areas, sales, marketing, and branding. That's what I love to do. And I think the integration of those three elements is what really helps firms to grow. So I'm going to continue to work with companies in the Caribbean, look at more global markets, and see where it goes.
Outstanding. Yeah, well, we're enjoying the videos, we're enjoying the content, so keep that up. We really appreciate what you are doing all the way from the Caribbean, and I'm here in Florida, right? Not that far, but still, two nations difference.
Yes.
So we appreciate what you do both on LinkedIn and with your company. And so if someone wanted to reach out to you to expand from New Jersey and keep going, um, how would they do that?
All right, so I have my website, which is www.debbiejollie.com. And of course, I'm on a number of social media platforms as well. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter. So any one of those areas, you could find me and reach out to me.
Outstanding. Well, we'll be sure to put a link as part of the video or the comments so that you can contact Debbie. Debbie, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for sharing your time, your day, and the information that you gave us concerning leadership and personal branding or branding in general. And I hope all those that were listening that you took up some good information. It was shared, and you're able to act on it. And as we normally, complete our show, I say success to you.